So Plarium's been on a bit of a tear lately. You guys don't get to see inside the content creator chat, but everything they're announcing is pretty much unanimously getting negative feedback, which is not wildly unusual, but it's particularly heavy lately. A lot of the content creators are talking about how frustrated they are and how frustrated their communities are. They're echoing the sentiment of their community because Plarium, again, is just on a really bad run, a particularly bad run. And it feels like we're long overdue for the really good thing. We've talked about this cycle that Plarium goes through where they do bad, good. Bad, good. It seems like we're skipping the goods. The best thing they've done in a while is announce the free artifact removal, which is something I've been hounding them about since I got here years ago. And I don't know if they're finally figuring it out. I don't know. They're doing it for 3 days in preparation for the hard mode dungeon. That's a pretty cool thing. That's something you definitely want to take advantage of. When I first saw that they were doing it, I think they announced it as reduced cost, and I thought they were doing the 50% thing again, which doesn't mean much to me, honestly. But the free gear removal, I'll tip my hat to them for that. And given 3 days to do it is really dope. That gives everybody ample time to test and play around and rework your account, which I think is a really, really cool move. I've always said I don't want it to be free all the time. I don't need it to be free all the time. I think there are elements of that can be unhealthy to the game for it to be free all the time. Some games do fine with it, Infinite Magic Raid, it's free to move stuff around. It can be doable, it can be done. I think you have to find other ways to balance around it, but I do think once a month. I think a 24-hour period once a month is fairly standard. That's kind of what I came up on. It's a big day. I've talked a lot about that. We're not here to talk about free gear removal, but I do want to give them props for that. I think giving everybody 3 days in preparation for the hard mode dungeons is a cool move. I think that's a cool thing that they're doing. Great job. I think that the Supreme Starter legendaries, they look cool. They seem interesting. I haven't given them a thorough look yet, but it's fine. I think that it's kind of a lackluster way to do it, though. And that's one of the things that the other creators were talking about is they're doing a fragment fusion for Elhain, and then they're just adding the other 3 into the game. It's like, well, surely you could come up with something more fun than this. Why not do a fragment fusion where you're collecting frags, and when you get 100, you get to pick one, just like you did with the starters? Why not recreate that? You know what I'm saying? Why not make it a permanent fusion? And make it when you get enough frags, you get to... Or I guess it couldn't be a permanent frag fusion. Why not add them as permanent fusions? And maybe you have to... I don't know what a good structure for that would be, but maybe add permanent fusions, and when you finish the fusion, you get to pick which one you want. Or there's a fusion for each of them, and you can just, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that way you can't get all 4 of them. You know what I mean? Maybe when you finish it, you've picked it, and then that's it. And then if you ever summon the other one's great. But you get to do a fusion and pick which one you want. Instead, they're forcing everybody to do the fusion for Elhain, and then the other ones are just added to the game. So it seems anyway. I just don't know why they struggle so much with fun. With fun and creativity. I don't know why they struggle with that. The only place you ever see their creativity shine is in difficulty. And even then, I've talked a little bit about that. It's more... They do a pretty good job. I don't want to take that away from them. The mechanics of the newer bosses, the Doom Tower and Iron Twins and stuff, there's a lot to them. Perhaps it could be argued there's too much to them. You know what I mean? If you stack enough mechanics on anything, it's going to seem complex and difficult. So I don't know. I don't know if that's creativity. I don't really know how to feel about the novels of information that you have to consume to know what these bosses are doing. but I feel like that's the only place they really ever exercise any sort of creativity at all. Maybe also in new kits. But if we're talking events, if we're talking the 4th anniversary stuff, if we're talking where there's a lot of room for it, then I just don't know why they don't exercise it at all. They seem so uninterested in fun. And I think that's kind of the problem. I think that's kind of the root of the problem. I think that's why the creators are so frustrated. That's why all of our communities are so frustrated. It's like, yes, the game is grindy, and there's an aspect to that to be enjoyed. I love a good grind. You know what I mean? I've been playing these games for years. There's a reason I'm still here. I enjoy a good grind. I enjoy a good long-term grind. I don't mind signing up for that. I don't mind a game being difficult. I don't mind it taking time to do things. I enjoy the grind. But you've got to have something that's fun. And I think Raid, they've tipped the scale so heavily in sacrifice and brutal, time-gated grinding. Everything is sacrifice. You know what I mean? Everything is just brutal. And there's something to that. You know what I mean? I think there's a reason people like Dark Souls and shit so much, because they're very difficult and very hard. And there is a sense of... There is something to that, right? There's a reason people are attracted to that as well. Raid's definitely on to something, because so many players stick around in spite of being so frustrated when there are so many other options, okay? I'm not oblivious to the fact that Raid has struck a nerve in one way or another that's keeping people around. Some of it's sunk cost fallacy. A lot of it's the community. But there's something to Raid. There's a reason that players are sticking around. And I'm sure the reasons differ from player to player. But it doesn't change the fact that this is still a game. And there's got to be something fun about it. Summon sessions are more often than not a letdown. Events always cost you something. Tournaments always cost you something, which is fine. If you're competing with other people, that's fine. If you want to win those tournaments and you have to spend things to do it, that's fine. Events, I'm still not on board with events always costing me something to complete them. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll do a video soon where I go in and I show you some of the events going on in Summoner's War, so you can see why I'm so critical of... We can do it now, actually. Why don't we do it now? Why don't we do it now? Here. Question is going to be, do I have the window ready to go? I've got my auto battles running right now, which if you want to talk about an auto battle system that puts Raid to shame. But I mean, I'm going to be real with you. Other than graphics, Summoner's War puts Raid to shame in every imaginable way. Is that going to resize that? You got to give me a second to resize this window. I'm not cutting this out here. I'm not going to remember to cut this out. Get off my back about it. All right, so let's go into the event tab real quick and talk about what's going on. One of the big things they're doing right now is an Assassin's Creed collab, which is really fucking dope, right? Now, I'm not going to hound Raid for that. I think it takes games a while usually to get into the space where they start doing these kinds of collabs. Raid has done a couple of interesting collabs. They do them a little differently, right? They pick a famous person and they put him in the game. That's still a collab. That's still cool. I do think we'll start to get these types of collabs in Raid. I've talked about this before. I think there's a lot of potential for some really cool ones. I think Mortal Kombat slides right in to the Raid world really well. I think a Mortal Kombat collab could be really cool. I think there's a lot of games. I mean, hell, I don't know how many options there are for something like a Dark Souls collab, but that probably slides in real well. Devil May Cry. There's a lot of these like medieval art style games that I think slide into Raid really well. There's a lot of potential there, and I'm not hounding them for not being there yet. These games are usually around for a few years before they start to get into that. But I want to talk about the structure of the events. I want to talk about the rewards from the events and the energy in general of the events. So right now, obviously, because of the Assassin's Creed collab, that's where a lot of the events are themed around. One event we have going right now is a Mystical Scroll bonus event. Mystical Scrolls are basically ancient shards, pretty much the equivalent of an ancient shard, okay? I currently have a video uploading, so we might be, it's 2 more minutes, so it won't be long, but we're probably gonna be a little bit laggy for the next couple minutes, but anyway, basically the whole extent of this event is every time I summon 10 scrolls, I get a bonus one. And you can see I've summoned 378. I've gotten almost 50 bonus scrolls in the time that this event's been live. For nothing. Just for summoning scrolls I already had. You know what I mean? It's not a summon event where I have to summon my scrolls to get other rewards. It's just bonus. Bonus scrolls for doing what I'm already doing. That's it. If I don't want to do it, I don't have to do it. But there's no reason not to while that's going on, okay? So that's one thing we got going on. Here's the event where you get an Altair. He's a light dark nat 5. That would be the equivalent of a void legendary. And Raid again, we got another minute or so of this, and then we'll be fine. So there's several different things going on in this event. So let's talk about it. You've got these different tabs here, and the thing about this event is monsters defeated and how many times you've played Arena. And when you hit each threshold, you get these prizes for each tab over here. And then there's also a hidden mission, is what they're calling it. So here, for completing 3 Assassin's Brotherhood missions, for this event, they added a new building to the island, and every 8 hours, I believe, it generates a new mission. And you complete the mission to get codices to spend in another event, which we'll talk about in a second. But then here, it's also counting the missions you do. When you complete 3 of them, you get 2 mystical scrolls and 500,000 mana. Mana is silver, if you're, if we're talking raid terms. And that's tab 1. Tab 2, if you clear there's an Assassin's Creed event dungeon as well. You clear it on normal, you get glory points and mystical scrolls. Here's tab 3, Master X. So in the arena, if you don't want to fight other players, there's a list of AI rivals. They're all pretty easy, and then they've added a new one since I've started playing, or since I've stopped playing rather, that never goes on cooldown. Most of the AI ones go on cooldown. Here, we'll go over and take a look. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So in arena, here's where my actual PvP is. I can fight who I want to fight. Here's the AI rivals. So here's all the ones that go on cooldown, and they get a little bit more difficult as you go on. None of them are really that hard. And then here you have Amir. He levels up with you. He never goes on cooldown, and his teams kind of scale with your progression. And it seems like it's going to start to give me fairly difficult fights. This is potentially a difficult fight for me, depending on how they're geared and stuff. But it's good practice. I think it's a really close simulation to like actual PvP. And again, he levels with my account, and it's a different team every time I fight him. And he never goes on cooldown, and I can still earn the currency. So if you don't want to do PvP, like actually, you don't have to in this game. Here's Master X. This is the Assassin's Creed arena AI that you get to fight, and it goes on cooldown when you fight it. So that's what it says when it says defeat Master X so many times. Let's see here. Hidden Mission 4 is where you can get the Light Dark Nat 5 for free just by doing 15 missions. It's not hard. The missions will come up and it'll be like run Giants dungeon 10 times, run Dragon 10 times, do arena this many times, whatever it is. It's very easy. It is a free Light Dark Nat 5. You should be doing 10 Giants run a day anyway. You know what I mean? Then you got the 5th one, win against Master X 6 times. You get some emotes for chat, some diamonds. But you see the theme here, right? Here's cleared on hard. You get a legendary rune and a reappraisal stone. Reappraisal stone is what's it called in raid? I can't remember what it's called. The thing that redoes a rune's stats. I don't know why I can't remember what the thing is called right now. But it does everything except the main stat. It just re-rolls the subs. So if you've got a really nice speed rune or speed boots, you can re-roll all the substats if the substats are garbage without worrying about changing the main stat, which why Raid did it where you also change the main stat, I will never understand. But, welcome to Raid. And then here you get an Assassin's Creed scroll for doing 30 missions. Again, also the missions are not hard. But you see what's going on. This is genuinely rewards as a byproduct of playing the game. I am not doing anything out of the ordinary. I am not having to spend 20 million silver to roll artifacts up to come in here and get 50 energy and 100,000 mana stones. I'm having to beat 500 monsters and play arena twice. These are things I'm going to be doing on a daily basis anyway. Do you see the difference? This is so net positive. I am gaining so much from it, and that's not even down here. When you unlock him, he comes with a set of legendary runes already rolled up. He comes fully geared. And then down here, there's more. Once I have him, then I start to gain rewards for just taking him into battles. XP boost, mana stones, more summons, a 5-star chicken is what this basically is. When I evolve him to 6-star, I'll get some really nice artifacts, which are just other ways to power up your monsters. It's costing me nothing to do any of this. So whereas some people defend raids events and say like, you're getting free stuff for playing the game. No, you're fucking not. It's genuinely costing you resources to get to like the 3rd or 4th reward. If you are casually playing the game and doing what you're doing every day, there's no chance in hell you're ever going to finish an event in raid. In Summoner's War, as long as you log in and play, you're going to finish the event. Because it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be getting shit. Now again, I think events work similar to how tournaments work in Raid, and that's not how it should be. Tournaments should be grindy. Tournaments are fine to be that way because there's a leaderboard. The rewards need to be better, first of all. But it's fine if it costs you shit. You know what I mean? Tournaments are different. Events aren't right in Raid. They're just not. Over here, the codices I was talking about, this is the Assassin's Creed thing where you gain them in a few ways. They just drop from playing the game in scenarios and dungeons and rifts in general. They will drop occasionally as you play the game. Every day you check in, you get 10. As you gain crystals, you get 2 every time you get 100, and then every time you use crystals, you gain a couple, okay? So there's several ways to get them. You see I've gotten 164 today. I did a big summon session today. Here's how many I've used. As you accumulate them, you can snag a few scrolls. Here is, again, just like cosmetics and fun. Here's a collaboration building. So it'll be a kind of a limited time thing you can only get during the event. And I mean, you see it costs 200 total, and I've gained 164 today. And it's 11:14 a.m. when I'm recording this. Then down here, you've got like a shop where you can spend these codices. So I've kind of started at the last pack and started working my way down. And I've only got 3 left that I haven't bought, but let's take a look at what I'm buying. Here's an event scroll, 200 diamonds, 100 energy, 300 million silver. These are basically legendary tomes. So 2 legendary tomes, 2 ancient shards, 100 energy, 200,000 silver. These are void shards, basically. This is a reappraisal stone where I said you get to reroll all the substats on a piece of gear, 300,000 silver. I don't remember what those are, if I'm going to be just blatantly honest with you. A legendary scroll, sacred shard, 5-star chicken, 100 energy, 200,000 silver. All I'm doing is playing the game. I'm not even paying attention because I'm accumulating the shit that I need to do this simply by playing the game, simply by farming runes, whatever it is I'm doing. It's not a high level account yet. I'm not even max level yet. It's not costing me anything that I wouldn't already be spending. I'm not having to come in here and go, all right, I only need to level up, I don't know, 5 more 6 stars. It's not a stressful thing. It is genuine. It is legitimately a byproduct of playing the game. Here, there's a skill up thing. So you can pull Assassin's Creed monsters from scrolls. As I get them and accumulate skill ups for them, I can come in here and skill them up without having to use my Devilmon or my legendary tomes, right? And then there's another one for the 4-star ones as well, okay? And then when I've bought everything I can in the event, there's a little shop down here where I can every 10 I earn, I can get some more energy or silver, all right? So even when I finish the event, they're not just going to pile up and be unusable. I can go down there and cash in for energy and silver, all right? And that's what we've got going on. That's just the Assassin's Creed stuff right now. And I reckon the other events will be kind of slow while the collab's going on. But that's what I'm talking about, okay? That's why I'm as critical as I am of Raid. Because I'm also playing Raid every day. And this champ training, it's such a specific thing that I would have to come in here and focus so hard to start getting anything that matters. You know what I mean? And they don't have to do it the same way. I'm not saying they have to do it the same way. I'm just saying in a lot of other games, when they have events, they feel like events. They feel like it feels fun. There's something fun to obtain. There's something fun to work for. There's something unique that I'm gonna get. And I'm not gonna have to spend everything I have to get it. You know, Summoner's War will do these, you're getting a Void Legendary, basically, for free. Easily for free. They'll do skins, they'll do limited time champs, they'll do limited edition island decorations. They'll do, it's just a different vibe. It's fun. It's fun. And I think Raid's lacking that element. Again, there is something appealing about the grind. There's something appealing about the brutal elements of the game. And I don't want them to take all of that away. That's not what I'm advocating. But they need to add some more fun to the game, especially right now, because everybody's frustrated. And it's only growing, because even this hard mode dungeon thing, while it's interesting, I don't think that it's fun for a lot of people. We need a little bit more fun. We need to trade some of this brutalness, some of this grindy, hardcore elements that it's got for some fun. Because I think more people than not, way more people than not, are very frustrated with what's going on in Raid. And have been for a long time. So, I don't know if that'll happen. It probably won't. It's not like we haven't been telling them this for a long time. But it's still, I don't know, it's still kind of interesting to kind of look at and talk about. And maybe seeing the comparison, the direct comparison, will at least shed a light and help you understand why I'm the way that I am when I look at the event tabs for Raid. This 4th anniversary thing, man, Summoner's War, maybe I'll come back and show you some events when the Assassin's Creed thing is over. I don't know how long it's going to last, but when it's over and we get back to the normal events that the Summoner's War is doing, they regularly drop regular events that aren't themed about anything, that aren't Assassin's Creed collabs, that aren't anniversary events. They will regularly drop regular ass events that blow this 4th anniversary event out of the water. Blow it out of the water. And it's not even special. It's just average, another day in Summoner's War. You know what I mean? And that's stupid. That shouldn't be the way it is. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I guess I'll get out of here for today. I didn't plan to show you Summoner's War. This video kind of turned into something else. But either way, I think that it's interesting. I'd be interested to know what you think. How do you feel? I know that most of you are going to be frustrated. I know most of you are frustrated. I read my comments. I know how we all feel about Raid. But, elaborate on it. Do you have any comparisons? Are there any games that you play that you look at the way that I look at Summoner's War and go, man, if Raid would just adopt some of this, some of what's going on in this other game, we'd be so much better off. I think when Raid started, and I've said this several times, one of the things that made Raid stand out to me is that they were one of the few games at the time of release that followed the Summoner's War blueprint, because Summoner's War is the OG. Summoner's War laid the foundation for all these other games. It set the blueprint to the extent that so many games for a while were Summoner's War clones. And the only thing different about them was the graphics. The only thing people were changing were the visuals. Other than that, it was the same exact game. To the extent that you could go in and look at reviews for champs. Like here, we just get ratings, but in some games, people can type out reviews and they get voted to the top. And in all the other games, it would just be like, this is Veramos from Summoner's War. This is Route from Summoner's War. And everybody knew what it meant because everybody played Summoner's War and everybody knew these games were just copied Summoner's War. Raid was one of the first games I saw that followed the blueprint, but did enough to stand out. They changed enough of the mechanics and enough of the way that the champs worked that they were clearly inspired and following a blueprint, but they weren't copying Summoner's War. And I really appreciated that. Obviously, the visuals stood out to me a lot, but the actual gameplay and the way that the dungeons, the mechanics, they were clearly trying to stand out. They had a really great start. I used to be a real big fan of what Plarium was doing way back in the day. And that's one of the things that stuck out to me about Raid. So I guess I would be interested to know if you guys have any again, I want to hear about some comparisons. What other games do you play that do things that you think Raid should adopt? For me, I think one of the bigger things they could do would be rework their whole event system. Put a little bit more effort, be a little bit more creative, give a little bit more to your players, try to come up with something fun to do instead of having us roll artifacts and level up champs. It's so fucking boring. It's so boring and it's not lucrative. If I grind my ass off, spend diamonds on refills, run through all my food, leveling up champs, I can get one legendary tome and a 6-star chaos ore. That's what it's called. You know what I mean? These are the only two things that truly would be worth it. And you look at how many fucking points you need to get them. You are spending more than these are worth to get them. And that's the theme, and that's my problem. So I'm very interested to read the comments on this one. It'll be cool to hear what other games are doing that you guys think would be a welcome, refreshing change in Raid. So that's it. I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate y'all watching. Very excited about the comments on this one, and we'll see you